significant to note that Kogi State has a history of producing fantastic goalkeepers. Dele Ayenugba, who was also a Yimba goalkeeper for years and was a member of the Yimba team that won the Champions League, African Champions League for Nigeria for the first time. He's also from Kogi State. And this particular player, Ujolon Leke, is actually from Kaba. So it's a thing of joy that Kogi actually had three members of that party, of the team that represented us and won the silver medal, the competition. It is significant for one state to account for three of the people who are honored by the president for doing Nigeria proud at the competition. I believe that Ojo's time will come because even Noah Bali, who became the number one choice, was not originally the number one choice. And for years, he was playing here in Nigeria. In fact, Katsina United was his last team before he traveled to South Africa for greener pastures. And he also played for Yimba at some point. I think Okomo Oil. So we have talents here. All that it takes is for people who run our football to take the pain to discover them rather than rely excessively on foreign-based players. Yes. Ojo was the only home-based player in that team, and is significant. And the governor of the state is proud of him, and the entire Kogi State, I dare say, are proud of their son for representing Nigeria at the Nations Cup and bringing the silver medal home and bagging a national honor in the process. Not all sports people get national honor. It has pleased the president to give these players the national honor as a way of encouraging them. Absolutely. Winning is not everything. Sometimes when you look at the way the players played, their application and all that, you tend to want to reward them, despite the fact they came short of winning the competition. So I say a big congratulations to Ujo, while believing that this is just the beginning of more of soccer glories for him.
Adeoye, this is also some sort of encouragement for boys in the local league.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the president already honored the footballers. That was at the national level. But every footballer that played in AFCON came from one town, one village, or one local government. So what the president has done is to set a good example. And we are expecting the states to also follow. You can't say because the footballer is from my state, the president has honored him, then I should not bother to also. So I think what the state governor has done is to set a very good example that apart from the honor bestowed on them by the president, states can also do a lot to show appreciation for these youngsters. And I think what the governor of Kogi did is a source of inspiration. I believe there are a lot of Peles, Maradona in one local government or one village or the other. The only way we can inspire them is to do something that the governor of Kogi State has done. I believe anybody who's a footballer, who is either young or old, in that will quite be inspired by what the governor did. And it also shows that we cannot all be journalists, we cannot all be medical doctors or professors. That there are people who have one talent or the other. There's no human being, even though those that are living with physical disabilities, that don't have one kind of potential or the other. And football is a multi-billion-dollar game. So I believe what he has done will inspire a lot of people in Kogi State. So I really say kudos to the governor, and I hope other governors, that gave birth to these other great players will find do one or two things to also show that they appreciate their men.
And I also hope that we continue to unearth more players from our local league. All right, gentlemen, let's move on to our next story. Several interventions by the government appear to be leading to reduced prices of food in the market. One of such is by the Niger Customs Service, which commenced sale of seized food items to Nigerians nationwide, with a 25-kilogram bag of rice going for as low as 10,000 Naira. The Controller General of Customs, Bashir Adeniyi, said this initiative is part of their commitment to safeguarding food security in the country. Meanwhile, subsidized maize by the Kwara State government has crushed the price of the commodity in Ilorin, the state capital. A kilogram of maize, which was previously sold for 600 Naira, is now being sold for 400 Naira. But first, let's share the story of the sale of seized rice by the Niger Customs. By TVC News, Ifunaya is with you. Be right back.
Everywhere we are going to do it, we want to ensure that we get the security protocol right. Secondly,
outlining the streamlined process for interested buyers, Customs Controller General Adewale Adeniyi stated that multiple registration points will open to ease the purchase process, aiming to reduce food prices and support the Naira's value. He stressed the importance of the National Identification Number for equitable access and participation.
As part of our ongoing commitment to safeguarding the food security of Nigerians, Customs, working with other agencies, have secured the approval of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to dispose of these seized food items directly to needy Nigerians at discounted prices. The criteria for Nigerians to benefit from this initiative will include having a verifiable national identification number, NIN, and to ensure its security and integrity, Customs has put in place a number of measures. These measures encompass robust security protocols throughout the process.
Mr. Adeniyi reiterated Customs' commitment to transparency and accountability, warning of action against violators.
It is imperative that beneficiaries of this exercise understand that the items under this exercise are not to be resold. We take a strong position against any form of profiteering or exploitation of this initiative. We urge Nigerians to report any incidents of misuse or unauthorized resale of the seized food items. We are fully committed to transparency and accountability in this process, and we will not hesitate to take decisive action against any individuals or entities found to be in violation of the terms of this program.
He also addressed concerns about food security, citing a worrying trend of food items leaving for neighboring countries, threatening Nigeria's productive capacity and food security. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Right initiative, BKO. It's interesting to see how Lagos residents embraced this initiative.
Nothing illustrates the desperation that our people have for food at this time than the pictures that we saw where the customs chose to sell the grains at their disposal. Rice going for 10,000 Naira for a 25 kg bag. Frankly, I expected the crowd that turned out yesterday, because what it means is for 10,000 naira, you can buy a bag of rice that at the peak of the festive season was being sold in the region of 35,000. So that's about 25,000 shaved off the price back in December. I know there has been a decline in the price, but for you to be able to buy a 25 kg bag of rice at 10,000 is still significant, given that at this time some are selling the 50 kg bag for as high as 65,000 naira. So our people need all the support that they can get at this time, and I'm happy that some of the measures are yielding dividends. For example, in Kano, where some people are hoarding these commodities, the government's decision to descend on such persons forced some of the others to release the commodities from their warehouses, and we can report that the price of rice in Kura rice market in Kano, for example, has gone down, even if it is marginal. If you can save like 5,000 naira from a bag, it's still it's something to be happy about. So, and what the traders are saying is that they are confident that it will further go down. This is what we want to see. These rice bags were seized from smugglers. When you go to any custom warehouse, you see tons and tons of seized bags of rice. In the past, the former president, directed them to supply IDP camps with this contraband bags of rice. But now we have a national emergency. We need to address the rising cost of living, rising food inflation, and this is one of those steps. So no one is saying that this will solve the problem, but at least it will mitigate it if we allow it to get to the people who need it the most. Look at what the governor of Lagos State said, that they have they are expecting 100 trucks of rice. You know, they've already placed order for it. Other states are doing it too. And what this means is that even rice millers, the integrated rice millers, the big-time rice millers in our country will also benefit from patronage at this time. You know, from state governments, from federal lawmakers. You saw what Benga Daniel did. Others too are doing, are intervening in their own ways. I've seen the Deputy Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly also providing her constituents with palliative grains. So we want to see this continue, and the customs have to also be very careful, you know, to ensure that we do not see stampede, we do not lose lives in the process.
All right, Adiri, I mean, Nigerians in other parts of the country are asking that this initiative gets to them as well.
Yes, I think first of all we need to realize that the honest truth is that Nigeria has been on life support, you know, for the past years, more or less like on oxygen. And then to revive the country, you know, in fact, it needs a lot of deep thinking. Like the Minister of Information said, he said the problems are multifaceted, intertwined, and deep-rooted, requiring creative, strategic, and decisive, and multi-pronged solutions. So this is just one solution out of many. Ordinarily, we should not be, you know, rice should not even be smuggled into Nigeria in the first place, to the extent that we now start distributing the rice to Nigerians. But I think, given the situation that we find ourselves, it is a necessary intervention. If you leave the bags of rice, probably some of them will disappear. Probably some of them will be sold by unscrupulous elements. So I think for the government to have thought that they should sell to people, I think it's a very, very strategic intervention. However, I'm happy that there are federal government, federal government is written on it so that nobody can take it to the market to go and sell. And they are not selling more than one bag to one person. Though people can get home and remove it and sell. But at least you can take only one bag home. But I think one will advise that the customs, they should also create a kind of a human scale of preference. I believe they should give preference to pregnant women, because I saw some pictures and I saw some pregnant women on that queue. I think they should be identified. If somebody can be pregnant and still struggle to come and buy that bag, or you can imagine what that family is going through. So I think they should give priority to pregnant women. They should give priority to nursing mothers. Some people they went to that place with little children strapped, then they should give priority to old people. If somebody about 70-something years old on that queue looking for jobs, so I think they can have about 2 or 3 lines to give priority to. Well, it's not something that is sustainable, because we don't expect the source to continue, which is a small good rice. So we need to create a long-term solution. And we don't have any reason to say that we cannot produce rice. It's just about 105 to 150 days before you grow rice. And we have arable. Look at Niger State, for instance. 85% of the land is arable. There are a lot of places where you can plant rice. So what is the excuse since 1999 that we have democracy, that we cannot produce rice? Because rice is one of the most important staple food in every family. In fact, if you eat rice morning, afternoon, you are okay. So it's we need to think, and we are just talking about 105 to 150 days. Yam, about 5 months. Tomatoes, vegetables, between 30 to 60 days. So we have the land. So what is the problem? Even when you are talking about cow, 2 years. You have, so our people should begin to think beyond the body. There's a need for radical intervention. Local government, 774, what are they doing with the little funds that have been given? States, what are they doing with the 2 billion that have been given to each state? We should earmark aspect of these funds to agriculture. The senators and House of Rep that gets some millions of naira for constituent allowance, they should divert it to agriculture. Because once you can resolve the problem of food, I can tell you that other problems, are minor. So I think this what they have done is good, but we need to think, a kind of long-term plan, so that we don't continue to give palliatives as a nation. Politics of palliatives. We need to create a policy that can make sure that we can sustain, feed ourselves.
So, Dikio, you heard Adeoye. What exactly do you think is the problem?
Talking about food prices, there are all kinds of problems. For example, because our currency is weak when compared to the currency that our neighbors use. The CFA, France, CFA, is stronger than our currency now. This is the first time that we are confronted by this reality. It's always been a weak currency. We used to mock it, that, you can actually be a millionaire in CFA and not be a millionaire in Naira. Those were the years in which our currency was very strong. But today, the CFA is stronger than our currency. You are now seeing more and more middlemen to farmers taking our produce across the border. This is dangerous for our nation because it threatens our food security. If what we produce here, a good chunk of it gets taken across the border, there is no way it won't trigger high prices here, because it's a question of demand and supply. So if we can stop the hemorrhaging of our grains to other countries, to our neighbors or neighboring countries, will be able to keep prices stable. It's been certainly worsened by the activities of greedy middlemen who are going to farms to buy up produce, hoard the produce, or in some cases take the produce across the border. You heard during our interview with the governor of Lagos State, he said the rice paddy that they even need for the Mota rice mill, which is the biggest in West Africa, they can't find paddy. He's done his best, he's tried his best to get paddy. It's not available. One, we are certainly not producing enough. Insecurity is a factor. Insecurity is a factor in agri production. We are not producing enough, and what is available, you can see that other people need it at this time. So we need to produce more. We need to produce more. In the 80s when we were growing up, in the 70s and 80s when we were growing up, Nigeria was reputed for agri production. We have a lot of cash crops, and we were among the best in the world. But today, because of petrodollar, nobody seems to be interested in agriculture anymore. And the population of farmers is an aging one. We need to come up with practices, agri practices, and incentives for younger people to take to farming, because the methods that we use now are not attractive to young people. So the population, the farming population in our country is an aging one. And that's why it's all the reasons we are not producing.
All right. Gentlemen, let's take our first caller. Good afternoon to you, Salam. Please go ahead with your contribution. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Abdulsalam Ayodele from Kaduna.
All right.
The first question I want to ask is that Kaduna, where side they will sell the rice. That's the first question I want to ask. And then my contribution is that the government, they need to look at the security of this country. Nobody says people don't want to go farm, but because the security of this country is too much. No security. If you want to go farm, they can kidnap. That's why people don't go farm. We're ready to farm during Buhari time, during the first tenure. And so we go farm. All of us go farm, but the security send us back. Make them take care of the security of this country.
Thank you so much, Salam.
That's my contribution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So I don't want us to forget the second part of this report, which says subsidized maize by the Kwara State government has crushed the price of the commodity in Ilorin, the state capital. A kilogram of maize, which was previously sold for 600, is now being sold for 400.
Oh, it's a normal thing. If you are able to get subsidized grains through the government channel, you are not going to waste your money to go and buy. So the demand for the ones sold in the market will definitely come down. And when demand comes down, they will be forced to reduce the price. In any case, a lot of them are profiteering. They are making much more money than they should make. And that's why many Nigerians are saying, are we simply going to resign to fate? We must do something about the reckless increase in prices of commodities, just like what those cement manufacturers did. Now we are regretting that in our country we have just 3 major cement producers. We then need to encourage a lot more business people to come into the business so that they do not hold us to ransom, because it's clear to move cement price from 5,500 to 15,000. It's elevated profiteering, and it has to be addressed. So, and there are many ways we can open the border to imported cement, which is cheaper than their own. After all, some of them are actually doing the bargain. It's cheaper than their own. And to crash the price, the Minister of Housing warned them that we could open the borders and your cement prices will crash. And if it crashes, you people will struggle against the imported brands. When you struggle against the imported brands, your businesses will be in jeopardy. So at this time, we need patriots. people who put Nigeria first, people who put the welfare of Nigerians first, not simply people who want to make money. Right. But when you look at the input for cement, for example, everything, they get everything from within the borders of our country. So what is the, how is the increase in the exchange rates? How does it affect cement? That you will now move the price. Then after the meeting, they say, okay, we could do between 7,000 to 8,000, depending on the location. I mean it's wrong.
Adeoye, what's your final take on this before we move on?
Well, I think we are talking about the reduction of prices, but we should also not forget that we have a price control board in Nigeria that has been existing since the 1970s. So we need to strengthen that institution. And there was a reason why that price control board was put in place. People have been saying government has no right to fix price, but we fix prices of petroleum and gas and some other products. So, and I know many other countries have price control board. If they do their if they do their functions effectively, that was why Falana went to court and a lot of people didn't understand, because it was just merely telling government to let that board perform its functions. So I think if the government fails to intervene, people will sell just whatever they like at whatever price. So there must be some level of intervention. I think what is going on now by the state and federal government is a very good thing, All
right, thank you so much. Let's move on. It's a crunchy economic time in Nigeria, and citizens are not the only ones bearing the brunt. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has appealed for liquidation of the 42 billion naira electricity debt of the Nigerian Army, following the disconnection of various army barracks and cantonments by power distribution companies. General Lagbaja revealed that the blackouts in barracks has led to decomposition of corpses in army mortuaries, developments that warranted protest by families of the dead. The army chief made this appeal when he visited the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, in Abuja, where the minister told him that the debt would be restructured but not written off. This is serious.
It's,
you
see, I also agree that the debt should not be written off. The armed forces are well funded. When you look at the budget of our country, defense gets a sizable portion. And there's no reason why the police, the armed forces generally, should not pay their utility bills, the electricity bills and all that. There's always been this belief that, they do not have the guts to come, and they will never have the guts to come and disconnect electricity. So, and we've seen staff of the old NEPA brutalized by police, by soldiers, when they dared to go and disconnect electricity supply to military formations, police formations. They must learn to pay. It has to be their budget. You set aside money for payment of electricity that the army uses, whether in the army hospitals or even in their barracks. No, you have to pay. You have to pay. But for so long, we've allowed a lot of nasty things to go on in our country. Look at the president having to order that what the villa was owing the service provider should be paid. Why did we have to owe that much? The seat of power of all places. And if they plunge you into darkness, you say they are bad people. Why would you owe them? If you owe them, then you are jeopardizing the future of the service provider, because they're in business to make profit, to survive. The distribution companies are being owed a lot of money. You've got to pity them. Yes, we are not happy, the quality of service is not good enough and all that. But even for services provided, you have to pay. You have to pay, for God's sake. You can't say because people are wearing uniform, then your uniform will threaten them, they cannot come and disconnect. but they can disconnect from source. They may not physically be able to disconnect at your barracks, but from their facility, they can disconnect you. They can ensure that, okay, now is complaining that they don't have. Because they could disconnect. I'm sure they didn't disconnect it at the various barracks. If you don't supply them electricity, they won't get it.
And they've been in total darkness since January.
I remember in those days now when I was a tabloid editor and they would not give us electricity. My boss would say, we need to go to the nearest NEPA this thing to go and tell them because we need this line now to produce. We are working overnight. When you tell them, they will say, this problem emanated from Egbe, the Tama plant. So if Egbe is the source of lack of supply of electricity, there is nothing that the people around here can do. You have to go to Egbe to go and complain. So the point I'm making is that from their offices, all it takes is just press a button. They won't have access to electricity. There's no need begging that they should write it off because somebody wrote it off wrote it off in the past. You don't have to constantly wait for them to write. Pay your debt. Pay your debt. Is it not the same armed forces that are building? They are building barracks here and there. They are building what is it called? Even officers' messes and all that. Then your electricity bill you can't pay. You must make provision for it. That is the point that I'm making. Help these businesses to survive. You abuse them about the quality of service and all that. But in our country, we are guilty of energy theft. A lot of us are guilty of not even paying at all. We bypass the meter. You see people climb, some of them, they go and bypass the meter. Energy theft is one of the problems that the discos are grappling with. And the discos are the face of the entire value chain because they are the ones who interface directly with you and I. Gencos don't know you. They don't ask you for money. It is the discos who help everybody to collect money. So we need to pay. Mr. Chief of Army Staff, you have to arrange to pay. They can help you. They can stagger the payment. Well, I do not also agree that they should write it off.
Adeoye, 42 billion naira.
Yeah, I think the military is a very strategic asset. It's a strategic institution. It's not an institution that have 24-hour power supply because of the strategic role it plays in terms of the nation's security. Imagine if insurgents are coming to attack a particular barrack and there's no light, CCTV down, computers down. Yeah, so it's not just about the mortuary alone. It's about the security institution itself that is an essential institution that should not be devoid of electricity. We can still stay without electricity, but the military, that should not happen. And I think, just like Babajide has said, it's not the fault of those who supply them electricity. About 83 MDAs are owing some 47 billion naira, to Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. How do you want them to cope? To pay salaries and other overhead costs. Then security institutions are owing 12 billion. Why? Why should that happen? Because it's a mark of lawlessness that you are using a particular, and then if somebody does this in Agimule or they will say it's an irresponsible person. Go and arrest him. So our military institutions, and I think it's not a new thing. I believe this is accumulated debt over years.
Over the years.
Because the Chief of Army Staff said they pay every month, but the thing goes to service debt. So I think that I believe they can restructure. There should be restructured debt payment. But if you write off, liquidate the debt, what's the guarantee that they will not happen again? And how would they deal with the other things that they need to do? How would they cope? They are in business to make profit. It's not a communist country where things are just run, So I think they need to find a way. Look at what the presidency did. Over 300 million. You ordered them to go and pay. But I think in payment, there should be also diligent investigation. If you look at these funds, there may be some kind of manipulation. It may not be up to this particular amount. So before paying, I think there should be investigation about what is actually the actual amount that the security institutions are owing, the service providers. But I think on the long-term plan, military institutions should also look for independent way of generating electricity. That's what some other countries are doing, using solar, renewable energy, because of the strategic role they play, in the nation's security. And I believe the engineering department in the army should be looking towards this so that they can provide electricity, supply to the limit without depending on.
All right. So I want us to also talk about something the minister said about fundamental issues in the power sector value chain. I mean, he said these issues could be traced back to the last 50 years, and the government that is barely 8 months old cannot proffer a solution at this moment.
That is the debts were now accumulated in just 8 months of Tinubu's regime, but they've been refusing to pay for years. As I said earlier.
Said 86 ministries, agencies, and departments of government.
Yes, the government, because they believe that nothing will happen if they don't pay. That is the thing. And if we strictly want to make the power sector viable, this sort of things will not encourage people to come into the business. Today, we have issues with gas supply to power plants. Not only is the source of gas supply to our power plants too far, but we have a situation in which the power plants, when they need gas, it's not readily available because gas pricing in our country is done in dollars. I don't even understand why we should have that situation. And because of the issues of payment, gas companies being owed and all that, they prefer to produce gas for export. It's the same thing that we have even with liquefied petroleum gas. Now, government is saying, okay, we are going to ban sale of cooking gas for export. I mean, production of cooking gas for export. They are going to ban it. So whatever they produce will be for local production because they've been begging the IOCs, the international oil companies, to please set aside a good chunk of what they produce for the local market so that prices can come down. But they are not listening. They prefer, because the guarantees that they will get in terms of payment when they are dealing with foreign clients is greater than what they get if they are dealing with local consumers here. So they prefer to simply sell. And when you do that, you won't have enough for our people here. And when you don't have enough, you don't produce enough for our people here, then price will go up. So it's the same situation that we find. The energy sector, they've been talking about appropriate pricing and all that. Yes, a lot of people will not want to come into the sector if certain things are not dealt with. So why would you owe these electricity companies this much? Why? The indiscipline that allowed this debt to balloon to the point that we are seeing. I mean, it puts me to shame even as a Nigerian.
Embarrassing. Embarrassing. All right, gentlemen, we have another caller. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. Are you there?
I just want to quick. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to make a quick contribution. You see, those accumulation of debt is the fault of the civil servant, because I know those bills have been compiled, have been in there for years, and there are some people in charge of doing that job because they are civil servants. They don't care. So when the civil servants are not doing their job, that's part of the reason why Nigeria is in the mess we have today. So when they are not doing their job, they need to be fired.
All right. Thank you so much.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your contribution. All right, gentlemen, let's quickly move on to another issue. In Niger State, north-central Nigeria, the government is striving to boost road construction. The state government has signed 556-kilometer road contracts with 37 construction companies. With that, the state governor, Mohammed Bago, is seeking 1 trillion naira for road construction. Governor Bago stressed that the state has a huge infrastructure deficit, but his administration is poised to construct 2,000 kilometers of roads in the next 4 years. Adeoye, over 70% infrastructure deficit in Niger State.
I think Niger State is one of the lowest states in terms of economic potentials or in terms of wealth and even allocation from the federal government. But the state is the largest in the country in terms of area, landmass, with 73,363 square kilometers. 85% of the land is arable. So I think when I read this story, it's not just a statement for the future. The contracts have been awarded to 37 construction companies out of hundreds that bidded for the company. And the governor is looking at 556 kilometers of roads. And the decisions were taken in collaboration with the local governments, 25 of them, in Niger State. So, and work is about to start. It's also looking at 2,000 kilometers of roads in the next 4 years. I think I'm impressed. This is one of the most remarkable interventions I've seen by state government in the past 7 months, that these new leaders came to power. Because if you are doing roads like this, it's going to impact on agriculture. It's going to impact on the transportation. In fact, the life span of vehicles will be longer because you are not going to be running to potholes and all that. It's going to impact on health. People are ill, you want to take them from one point to the other. The roads are bad. Instead of spending about 30 minutes, you are there for 2, 3, 4 hours. So, and I'm happy that, a state that is not, like it's not Lagos, it's not Bayelsa, it's raising 1 trillion naira. So we always take our government, take one thing and focus on it. Let us identify you with this particular program. You'll be remembered. So I think I'm really impressed. It's not just making a press statement. They have awarded the contracts to the, those that will implement the job. And in fact, we didn't hear more stories when the processes were going on. It's only at the point of implementation. And that's my idea of a good leader. Niger State has a lot of potentials in terms of you have Zongari Dam, you have Kanji Dam, you have Shiroro Dam. So if there are good roads there, it's also a tourist hub. There's a very popular folk there. Yes. So I can only say that I wish this governor good luck. And I think other state governors should be on their, they should wake up. Because this Niger State coming out to set a very good standard, a milestone so I think it's also our responsibility as media people to monitor, the project. But I think I wish them good luck. I wish Niger State good luck, and we want to see the output in a way that people will give more kudos to the government.
All right. Bikio, is Governor Bago raising the bar for you? Lately he said he has vowed to step on more toes to achieve the vision of his administration of building a new Niger.
Yeah, the president needs to build a new Niger because I don't think the man who was there before him did much. He didn't really cover himself in glory in terms of his achievements. You won't hear people talk about him when they're talking about the wave-making governors. But this governor came in and it's clear that his priorities were right. He said from now on they should be calling him the farmer governor. If you are the biggest state in Nigeria and a considerable portion of your land area is arable, you have no reason in the world to not excel in agri production. They have gum Arabic, in ample quantity. And it's a lot of money globally. So he is identifying what needs to be done. Because when he organized that summit the other day about, we call it the Green Summit or something, it was all about agriculture, you know. So you could see that he wanted to focus on agriculture, but he is not resting on his laurels. He's now focused on doing something about the terrible roads. Niger still has the worst roads in Nigeria. In terms of the network of bad roads, Niger is clearly the worst in our country. I'm sure of that. One is a very big state. Bogu local government alone is bigger than some states in Nigeria. It's bigger than many states. Just Bogu, that local government. Now, you need to connect communities with good roads so that farmers can move their produce from their farms to the urban and semi-urban centers where they could be sold. Look at a country like Ethiopia. Ethiopia exports flowers, roses and the rest of it. Ethiopia exports flowers to countries of Europe and America. And how have they been able to do it? Because you must, it's a daily thing. It's not like, oh, they are going to store it somewhere. No. They have aeropolice, they have airports, cargo airports in the major flower production belts of the country from where these things are transported to Europe. So they know, they've identified their area of strength and they are just maximizing it. So those who think that you cannot sell flour, for example, and make money, they need to go and find out what they are doing in Ethiopia. And look at what Kenya is doing with tea. What I would like to see, for example, is a state like Taraba, which is the only state in Nigeria where we can grow tea. Taraba should actually have something like that, an aeropolice, like an airport, a cargo airport, from where you can ferry this tea that you are producing, you can ferry it abroad, fresh, you know. So there are opportunities. The problem for us is that a lot of our leaders do not actually think. They choose the easy way out all the time. The easy way out is simply to wait for the year, the month to end, and then collect.
Because I wanted to say, is it that they do not think, or because they feel, oh,
how do
no
you?
one will hold me accountable?
No, the thing now, what I'm talking about is critical thinking. Do you know that it could take you 1.5 years to design a car, maybe a military vehicle, for example. The design alone could take 1.5 years. A lot of thinking must have gone into it. How do we ensure that this thing will be produced without any error, any factory error that could cost us money? When Toyota makes mistakes with some of their brands, they recall them. Once you've recalled, you've lost money. The ones that you send to America and all that, those ones, they have values that they cannot compromise. So you send them back, you lose money. So you are taking your time to produce the best. So critical thinking, it takes time for you to even conceptualize some of the ideas that can change your state, that can change the world. It's not something that you rush into. Get some of the best brains. What do we do? When you go to Kano, you will see the legacies of Audu Bako. And this is the man left the scene many, many years ago. But in terms of the way Kano roads are designed, to go to the Nasarawa area, the roads are interconnected, you know, the dams, the dams that he constructed. So you will know that this person was really thinking, because the dams will help in fish production, the dams will help in irrigation. So it takes critical thinking, not simply to sit in your office and accommodating hangers on and listening to them, people who have no value. Our governors should begin to sit down, think, what can I do? That for many years down the line, they will be talking about it. And I think this governor really wants to do. He has no choice really, because when he looks at what is on ground, he knows that he has to hit the ground running, not to hit the ground and stay there. You know, so kudos to him. 2,000 kilometers of roads in 4 years. It's not as if they have all of the money now, but the intention is there, and the intention is a good one. So over 4 years, they will deliver this, and it's saying that it cuts across 25 local government areas in the state. So, and that the contracts were awarded with the buy-in of those local government.
Yeah.
So that is government working together at every level, and I am positive that this governor will really come good the way it's going. He used to be a banker, so I didn't expect anything less.
Are there anything more to say before we move on?
Yes, it's a governor to watch, you know, in this current dispensation. He has started very well, and we hope he finishes well.
All right, gentlemen, let's go on a break, and when we come back, we will continue this conversation. This is Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw ether material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known, for when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
The Inspector General of Police has met with senior officers to review the state of security.
We are continuing our coverage of the arrest of Godwin Emefiele.
The Senate has summoned the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to properly brief the Senate regarding the state of the economy.
President Bola Tinubu has announced the total removal of fuel subsidy.
The fresh subsidy is gone. What I will never take is threat.
Let's now bring you more development from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, where an explosion has taken place. Tell us about this incident.
TVC News. First with breaking news.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secrets of the financial world,
breaking down intricate economic and financial matters.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds, and the thrilling world of cryptocurrencies.
We unveil and analyze complex policies of the CBN and other government parastatals as they affect your everyday life, keeping you a step ahead every time.
Okay, this is incredible. Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate fact from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News. First with breaking news.
Sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people just want to be heard.
So I need students, but I need teacher.
Can't continue like this.
Their voices re-echoing through time itself.
We haven't done anything.
If the tide is high, everybody run for safety.
Their tears leave a sweet, sour taste for all their demands. A familiar call beckoning for change. In our world, no one expects a disaster to happen. But when it does, we'll be there to x-ray all sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Community Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. And I have been hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adewale Adeoye. Now let's move on to our next story. Various suggestions have been made regarding the free fall in the value of the Naira against the dollar. The latest is coming from the senator representing Delta North Senatorial District in the National Assembly, Chinedu Nwoko, who called for a complete ban on dollar transactions in the country. Speaking at the Senate plenary, the businessman turned lawmaker noted that Naira has been relegated to the background while the dollar is visible, thereby making the country's currency depreciate. And according to him, Nigeria cannot survive with the use of dual currencies. Hence, the dollar should be banned completely in the country for Naira to rise again. Gentlemen, according to him, nothing is going to work until we stop using the dollar.
Well, let me first of all say that when a country is facing the challenge that we have today, everybody needs to unite, irrespective of the political party that you belong to. Because it's no longer about APC or PDP or Labour Party. It's about the people of Nigeria. The president of the country is not president of APC or PDP. He's representing Nigerians, irrespective of faith, religion, or whatever. So, Nwoko is a PDP senator. I've followed him for a long time, and I think he's somebody that has knowledge. You know, Babajide was talking about critical thinking. It's rare. If you bring about 500 people, maybe you are able to get about 2 or 3 people that can think deeply. You know, when he was in the House of Rep, he made certain suggestions to he was part of the team that negotiated for the Paris loan refund. And then I remember there was a time he took the federal government to court about multinational debt we are owing. And also, he was able to get court judgment that compelled, the federal government to pay refunds to local governments, out of the fund that were distorted here, initially. He was in UK, he's a lawyer, and had one of the biggest law firms. So he's not a frivolous person. He's well experienced. When he talks, you need to listen to him. The suggestions he made, they are very important suggestions. We use the Naira. Why? 2 important suggestions that very important ones. The first one, that we should be using Naira. Today, if you go to some hotels, they don't take Naira, they take dollars. That means that you are creating local competition between foreign currency and local currency. More people will dump their own currency in favor of dollar because of the strength. The last election, when they were doing primary, the political parties, we were told people were sharing dollars. When Emefiele came with his policies, people changed Naira to dollar and kept at home. So before you know what is going on, the Naira, the dollar will supplant the local currency, which is not a good thing for us. The second suggestion he made, that our foreign reserve should be kept by the central bank. Oh my God, that's a very, very... China has the largest foreign reserve, and it's kept by the People's Bank of China. The Reserve Bank of India keeps the foreign reserve of India. But Nigeria, we cannot continue to be a neo-colonial state that is tied to Western interests. We must realize one thing. America, US, and all that is a competitive global economy. They will not want you to grow more than them. So all the policies they will come out and reduce, devalue your currency is to give them comparative advantage, so that your country will continually be a dumping ground for their products. The day you become China and India, you are cutting them off. You are producing your needs, your food, your electronics, and they don't want that.
How do we not get this as a country?
You mean?
How do we not get this as a country?
We got it at a point. People like Awolowo, the founding fathers, Ahmadu Bello, and that was why at the time, even Zik, our currency was stronger than the dollar, until we started having a kind of political class and reactionary sect in the army that took over the country for 27 years and destroyed everything. That 27 years of military is a cost on Nigeria. So we are trying to to reclaim our lost heritage. And I think what this senator has suggested, they are very, very important issues. If I have my way, it should be in the economic team of the government. If you can adopt these two policies, bring back, we have about 33.7 billion US dollars in foreign reserve. It's like a man that his children are hungry, but is boasting that I have 50 million naira kept in Kenya. Of what value? Your children cannot eat. Bring back that funds, let people invest it in local production. So I think he has made very important strategic contributions to nation building. And I hope that we are going to find his contributions very useful. And I believe the presidency will look into this direction so that we can work together to create a better country for prosperity of our people.
Thank you, Adioye. Biko, over to you.
Yeah, what gives me joy is the fact that this conversation is bipartisan. It's not, for some people, the country will collapse, let it collapse, because their preferred choice did not win the election. But we've gone past that stage. We have to think about the future of Nigeria. And the way Ned Nwoko is talking, you know that it is the future of our country and its prosperity that is concerned about. You can't tell me now that Ned Nwoko doesn't have dollars of his own. Of course he will have. Like other people, other billionaires like him, he will have sufficient dollar notes. But he knows that it is in the interest of our country for us to de-emphasize the use of the dollar. The things that we permit in our country, thanks to years of bad leadership, are haunting us today. They are haunting us. If, for example, we are like South Africa, where you cannot spend the dollar, you are coming into their country, you have tons of dollars in your kitty, you will go to a bureau de change office, a registered bureau de change. They will ask for your international passport. They will take a record of your passport before they allow you to change your currency from the dollar to the rand. Today, the rand is strong. It's not even in the class of the Naira at all. They've kept it like that. I told the story of what happened to me when I went to Durban in South Africa, and I saw a CD that I liked. It was a gospel group. And I didn't have rand on me because I was on my way home, which was in the airport. And there was this Italian shop owner. So I told them, please, I want this thing. Let me give you $100, sell it to me. He said, no. I said, if you sell it to me, I will let you keep the change. He said no. There was nothing I didn't do to try to convince this guy to sell this thing to me, because I saw it as an opportunity. He refused. That is where people fear the law. There's so much impunity in our country. People don't fear. People break our laws and bear the consequences. Because he knows that ultimately he will get out. He may not even serve any term. But you can't do that in many countries, no matter who you are. No matter who you are. We must get to that point when the dollar becomes useless to us, because it should actually be useless to us. Is it your currency? Now, I'm happy now that the CBN say, okay, if they send you dollars from UK, from America, anywhere, they must pay you, the banks must pay you in Naira. That is what is being stipulated. No BDC is permitted to receive $10,000 from you, any amount the equivalent of $10,000 from you, without you providing evidence of the source of the money. Because what we permitted, some people, they have their... I know a BDC guy, he's dead now, used to be in Agege, who used to service 3 governors. Once the allocation comes, those governors will reach out to him. He will change a sizable portion of their security, will convert it to dollars for him. We are not serious people. Now look at what the dollar has done to our currency. People stole us blind in billions. And all they do is look for the dollar as a more reliable store of value. They convert what they stole into. That's why I pity the president, because I know part of the steps that they are taking, which we'll talk about in the next topic. If we are not careful, these rogues who have stolen us blind, they are waiting. As soon as you push dollars into the market, they mop up. I had the senator warning that how are we sure that whatever you push into the market, they won't mop up again. We must first stop any form of transaction in dollars in our country. The MPA, for example, shouldn't be asking people to pay some charges in dollars. Are we not in Nigeria? The MPA shouldn't be doing that. It should, from that, because those who have those who need to clear their goods, those who need to do this, do that in the ports, you are telling them to pay in dollars. Why? Is America our country? Now look at where we are. Nobody, Nigerians, you see people, Nigerians dancing. On top of their own currency, they are stepping on. Irresponsible people stepping on their currency, dancing. They don't do that. They don't treat the dollar with that level of indignity. How do you step on your currency? I don't know any race in the world where that is done. Where people will willfully get up, they say they are celebrating, and they will be stupidly be stepping on the currency of their country. I don't know anywhere else in the world where it's done.
Is that the issue?
We must show respect to our currency. We must do everything to save our currency. This is our last chance. If Asiwaju cannot do it, then I don't know who else. He must see it now as his challenge. He has to save this currency. All of those steps that the CBN has to take, the president must mandate them, must encourage them. They must be on the same page with the president. Ned Nwoko has given his advice, the senator. He's a big man.
Yeah.
Highly connected, multi-billionaire. So you can't say that, he was talking for himself. He's talking for our country.
He also talked about the return of Nigeria's foreign reserve to the country.
Yeah.
See, I'm more concerned about the value of the currency at this time. It's tough. It's tough. People are not finding it funny at all. They're not finding it funny at all.
All right, gentlemen, let's quickly take our caller. Yetunde from Magodo. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah. About what I did a few minutes ago, that 37 years of military have drawn Nigeria backwards. I want to, and Nigeria has been saying it, and I know we, both all of them here, we are hating. Inception of democracy, 1999, what was the new thing that happened in Nigeria? All the refineries are built by the military. No single refinery was built by the democracy. Dangote built his refinery within 8 years. So I'm not saying, but I see that democracy, Nigeria is not right for it. It's either they go for parliamentary system of government.
Okay.
Then following up on this collapse.
All right.
Nigerians are so in this thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution.
First, it is not true that all the refineries were built by the military. Please do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
The Kaduna refinery was built by Shagari, and Shagari also added the Port Harcourt refinery. So don't tell us that all the refineries were built by the military. No, that's not.
All right.
That's not right.
Thank you. It appears
It's even refineries alone that we can talk about.
Nigeria has there are a lot of transformation that we cannot undermine.
We can
in communication, in IT, in education. How many universities do we have in the years of military?
Yes.
There was even no private TV anyway. In the days of military, it was only AIT that came in 93 or so. Now you are talking of countless. Only no radio station, private radio station, only one during the time of military. Do you know how many radio stations we have now? Do you know how many universities we have now? Do you know how many professors? And in the days of military, you can't talk. You can't even question how they spend your money. There was nothing like FCC to question, whether people are stealing money or not. There was no parliamentary debate. So we may have weaknesses now, but we must never go back to those dark days. The other parts of the world are not making mistakes. That all of them are dumping military rule. If you put the equity together, you will cry for what we went through for that. For so many people that died that we cannot even continue to mention them.
You cannot talk. You can't ask questions.
You can't ask questions. You can't.
That's what they want to take us back.
So it's not comparable.
There's no level of frustration. That should make a thinking man believe that military rule
is no way. Maybe
because the first thing they do, the constitution, they set it aside. That means they are not interested. They have no regard for your courts. And even the military destroyed itself from within.
Of course.
As a result of intervention in politics. Do you know how many coups that happened? Some of the brightest in the military, they will be lied against, and then they will be tied to mistakes and shot. It was even, it was not good for the military to come into politics, and a lot of them do not want to see that happen. No matter how hungry we are, being power and all that.
Yeah.
Some of us went through this. We lost our friends. Our friends were killed. I mean,
close friends.
And people will still be talking about the military. Every time they will talk about the refinery. Which refinery?
You say we should go back to parliamentary. Who stopped Nigeria from our parliamentary? It was the same military.
You know, they used to tell us that Buhari built refinery. And I'm saying Buhari didn't build any refinery. Buhari built depots. Fuel depots. In Suleja, in Kwara, and other places. He didn't build a refinery. You can say he started Kaduna refinery. But it was the Shagari regime that completed because the refinery came into being in 1980. And Buhari was not out of the way by that time. He was no longer the Minister of Petroleum Resources.
Let's move on as quickly as possible. It appears the more the government tries to salvage the crumbling economy, the harder things get. In the face of this, the federal government has vowed to clamp down on individuals sabotaging the country's economy. In a statement, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, noted that regulatory and enforcement agencies are working round the clock to identify, investigate, and sanction those involved in illegal activities and sabotage in the Forex market. Mikhail, we have you start this.
There are saboteurs everywhere, not just in the Forex market. But this CBN governor knows what he has to do. They may be taking their time. To take certain steps. The banks are complicit in the destruction of the Nigerian economy. No doubt about that.
That's a fact.
And it's not, well, I've talked about what Obama did to bank chiefs in America. We've got to do that here in Nigeria. Otherwise, we're going nowhere. These bank chiefs kept $5 billion in their vaults. Well, what are they doing with $5 billion? You are an agent. You are an agent. The CBN auctions dollars every week. Auction dollars every week. CBN said, no, that's during Emefiele. We are not selling to BDCs, we are selling directly to banks. And they were selling, some of them were buying this and not selling to their customers. When you go to a bank and you tell them that you want to buy the dollar, they will direct you to the aboki. See, look at that man there. Go and meet him. It is only in our country where the dollar is sold like a commodity on the streets. If this government cannot put an end to that nonsense, we will not come out of this problem. Nowhere. All the places that I've been to, I've not been to all the countries of the world, but the few countries that I've been to the glory of God, I've not seen where they trade in currency as if it's a commodity. They are selling it as if it's granite in our country. In fact, it's beginning to spread. Places where they were not selling it before, we are beginning to sell it. And they are the ones behind all or most of the speculation that is altering the market. They are doing a lot of speculation. So what do? Government has decided that, okay, we are moving against this Binance and the rest of them, this cryptocurrency and the rest. If you are thinking of economic security, including even security against terrorism, there's no way you allow this to go. And that's why they are moving against them now. Say, no more. I think it was on Tuesday that Binance decided to disable its sell option, which means that those who would have loved to sell currency through this platform, they cannot access it. It's now that we are beginning to do certain things, because we are seeing now that people who have tons of cash are pushing it into the market to alter the market to make so much money while the rest of us suffer. So now we have to address how, because the governors who are converting tons of dollars, tons of naira to cash, to dollars, we have to find a way to stop them. Many things happen during the primaries of the parties. It is water under the bridge. We are not interested in that. We are interested in going forward. We must create a situation where the nonsense that happened during those primaries, does not happen again. And if we are able to do it, keep the flow of illicit funds in check, honestly, we will have a level of stability. We must stop people from stealing money the way they steal it in Nigeria. Because once they steal, they are looking for dollars to convert it to. Because once they convert it to dollar, they are confident that, because the Naira is on a free fall, they believe that if they convert it to the dollar, then their money will be intact. They found a way to secure the money. We are saying that in our country, the Naira should be the only medium of exchange. It should be the only legal tender. Using the dollar as an alternative currency, it makes no sense. If South Africa can do it,
we can.
Why can't we do it? Go to Dubai and attempt to spend the dollar. Maybe our people, all these leaders now, they go to Dubai, now they take their people to Dubai, they go to play with their girlfriends there. Do they not see that they cannot use the dollar in Dubai? Even if it's in your card. When they want to give you a change, they will give you the change in their own currency. So that is the thing in South Africa too. I think Egypt recently too.
Yeah.
Said no, we are not using the dollar. What's wrong with us?
Nothing has happened to those countries.
No,
those
countries have not collapsed. Those countries have not collapsed. Instead, their currencies are getting stronger. We have to take drastic, big decisions. Big decisions, only big decisions can get us out of this. The saboteurs are everywhere. Even the food prices. Look at what the customs said about that 20,000 bags of assorted grains, rice, beans, maize, guinea corn, millet, soya beans, 2,500 cartons and 963 bags of dried fish and dried pepper being taken, including cooking oil, tomatoes being taken across the border. That's what middlemen are doing to us. Middlemen are behind the rapid rise in food prices. It is not the ordinary farmer that is doing it, it's the middlemen. Look at what those Gombe farmers said about rice. They said these middlemen will come into our farm, buy up our paddy. But you go out, you can't buy, you can't access rice because they've chosen to store them. They are waiting for the price to go up rapidly. Everybody wants to make money. These are the same people. On Sundays, you see them, they wear their best dresses. On Mondays or on Fridays, you see them, they wear their babariga, put on their cap. They are not like me that hardly wears cap. They put on their caps, you see them, they will be pretending that they love God. But they are actually, it is what the devil wants that they do. Anything antithetical to the love of God that Jesus Christ and Muhammad preach, they are not interested. They want to cheat you. They want to cheat Adewale. They want to cheat all of us.
Thank you so much. Adeoye, let me come to you.
Well, I think, you see, saboteurs, economic saboteurs are like vultures. They see the country as a very beautiful zebra, but they are not impressed. They want that beautiful zebra to be turned into a dead animal. But that's the only way their own vultures can feed. So they are everywhere. It's our responsibility to make sure that they don't thrive in our country. Unfortunately, they have been thriving. And I think recently we are rising up against them. You see, economic saboteurs will never allow, they will keep the country stunted. There's no way the country can grow if we allow them. But our efforts in trying to locate and deal with them, it has to be intelligence-driven. Because we must also realize that in dealing with them, we must have respect for law and order, rule of law. That law that applies to Adewale, a commoner, must apply to the big man who's an economic saboteur. Because these people that are sabotaging the economy are not ordinary people. Most of the time, they are big players in the field of politics. They are powerful bank executives. They are politically exposed persons. Some of them are in the military, who are involved in bunkering and all sort of things. Some of them also invest in politics. When they know a particular party wants to contest election, they put in money. And you don't ask of that. So there are big investment in faith-based organizations. When you see them, you think these are the best men. But behind the curtain, their heart is desperately evil. They are vultures who want to see the country turned into a dead animal so that they can feast on it. So I think, Babajide is talking about currency speculators. These are not just local saboteurs. They have international network. There are foreign smugglers who smuggle currency, from Nigeria abroad, So it has to be intelligence-driven. And that's why I think the government needs to realize the role of anti-corruption agencies in this battle, especially the EFCC. I attended the program yesterday with the chairman of the EFCC, and he says something that baffled all of us. He said since he came to power, started sitting on that, that he never had a single gray hair. But when he got there, few months, started developing gray because he doesn't sleep until around 1 year. And he said on New Year's Eve, he was watching, his system and saw people moving billions of naira from one place to the other. New Year's Eve, when he was in church, he had to leave everything he was doing and started tracking them to ensure that those accounts were closed in the next 24 hours. Because these are government officials, because they didn't exhaust the budget. So they wanted the remaining money to be transferred into. And people doing this said some of them are under 40 years old, young people. So you could see somebody, chairman of a new organization that has passion, you understand the problem. So if we want to tackle economic saboteurs, the FCC, the ICPC, the media is our collective resource. We'll just be talking about Tinubu. We need to play our roles as journalists. Because, he said something, he said they arrested some people, some big men for corruption. The next thing, they brought in people from their village to come and protest. Ordinary people that cannot feed, to come and protest in favor of that politician. You know what he did? He sent people there. Don't go and shoot them. Go and educate them. He said after talking to them, educating them, that look, the man has stolen so much money, meant for your health care, meant for your roads, meant for farm. A lot of things said, they started departing one after the other. So that's the kind of thing. When people understand that stealing money should not be, the normal thing in life. That when you steal money, your community should isolate you. Yes. Not that the king will give you chieftaincy title. So we need to work together. Or to ban you. The people also have very important role to play. Not that they will go to court to defend, to protest in support of criminals.
Right. So quickly before, I do apologize. Yeah. So quickly before we move on, BQ, earlier you talked about bank executives being enablers of this. Now, CBN recently sent out new directives to all of these banks, talking about natural hedging, network. How, and I feel compliance is a big issue. How does the Apex Bank ensure that all of these commercial banks adhere to these templates?
They know, and you must make an example out of one of them. Sanusi dealt with some bank chiefs because those bank chiefs had actually were seeing those banks as their personal property. Banks were in the habit of converting people's deposits, using people's deposits to buy shares for themselves. That was the problem with Societe Generale, and it had to die because the shareholders used depositors' funds to buy shares for themselves. Nigerian bank chiefs use depositors' funds to give themselves loans, and they will not pay. They will not pay. They can't get away with it in other places. They can't. I said, even in America, some of them, after being exposed, they committed suicide. Yeah. Because what Obama said was, look, we will save the big companies in our country from collapse. We will intervene. Because if we don't save them from collapse, jobs will be lost and all that. It will affect the economy. We will save them from collapse, but the people brought them to that sorry state. We will not spare them. He said that. I listened to him as he was talking. The AIGs of this, all those, they are big companies. They rescued them. But in the end, the managers had to go. The economic sabotage that banks are doing, this foreign exchange, they've used it to make so much money. Those banks, see their balance sheet, you see that they fed fat from you and I, and all those illegal charges that if you get a forensic accountant to do a critical survey of Nigerian banks, your blood will boil. Yeah. That's what they've done to us. And there's no way that the CBN as a regulator will claim that it does not know some of these insider dealings, the round tripping, and how they are helping politicians, big politicians to save money, move money abroad and all that. They are opening branches abroad. A lot of money laundering taking place. We have to be more aggressive. And we have to make sacrifices. A lot of people are saying, oh, this government wants us to make sacrifices, but they too are not making sacrifices. Nigerians need to see, for example, all of what we are giving the National Assembly people. Those things don't signify to our people that we are in dire straits. And our situation is dire. So let people see that our leaders are making sacrifices. And it has to percolate down. President makes sacrifices, let's see it. National Assembly members make sacrifices, let's see it. You will be able to galvanize Nigerians behind you. Otherwise, they will say, oh, They want us to make sacrifices. They are not prepared to make sacrifices. And the opposition will use that again.
Yeah. All right. Gentlemen, let's move on to our final topic for today. The battle line appears to have been drawn for the September governorship election in Edo State. The participating political parties have picked their flag bearers for the election. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, elected 2 factional candidates to fly its ticket for the poll, as 2 candidates emerged in parallel governorship primaries that took place in Benin City. The 2 candidates are Philip Shaibu, the incumbent deputy governor of the state, and Aswe Godalu. For the All Progressives Congress APC, Monday Ekwebole, representing Edo Central in the Senate, emerged as the party's candidate for the September 21 governorship election. Gentlemen, let's discuss this before we go on to our guests. What's this confusion?
You see, this Edo election, I can't wait for the governorship election. It will set a record in terms of anti-party activity. Because I've never seen a primary election like this one. I've never seen. If you say APC, yes, APC was full of drama on the first day. You know, the iceberg breaker was the fact that the venue or the primaries that produced the candidate of the Izeyamo faction was the one actually minuted to INEC to supervise. But Governor Opuzodima and his deputy, Otu, the governor of Cross River, actually went to supervise a different one. So then collation began at the other end. They sent talks. Talks went disrupted, a collation. By the time the dust settled, the party realized that the one that was disrupted was the one that we actually minuted to INEC to supervise. And it's a conditional precedent that INEC must supervise your primaries. That's what makes the primary legal. INEC must supervise. So after that, they had no choice. They had to order a rerun. I was saying it here that the end had not come, that the court could actually even order a rerun. I didn't know that it was the leadership of the party that would actually order a rerun. And one of the decisions taken was that Opuzodima should step down as the big time returning officer. You know, they always like to appoint a governor, you know. So they told him to step down and his deputy took over. And one thing led to another. Oshomole's desire to bring a candidate from the south of Edo State failed. And the Izeyamo group produced the candidate of the party. Now, what will happen? Will Oshomole still stand by his party, having been disgraced in the way that we have seen? But it should serve as a lesson to politicians that, look, when the majority are rooting for something, don't go against what everybody is saying. They want power to go to Edo Central. Because since 1999, Edo Central had not produced a governor. But Oshomole still, after the South, spent 8 years. You still want another person from the South to come and be governor again. At the end, he couldn't convince members of his party. APC got that. They got that right, in my view. But what do we say about PDP? PDP now has They have 2 candidates now. Because the Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu, whom we will be speaking with shortly,
is actually on standby. Yes, sir.
The Deputy Governor emerged from a parallel primaries. The governor's preferred choice also emerged. Then Labour Party, they also have 2 candidates now. So that's why I said this next election will be full of anti-party activities.
All right, Adeoye, we'll take your submission after speaking with the Deputy Governor. Joining us from Benin for more discussion on this issue is the Deputy Governor of Edo State and factional PDP candidate, Philip Shaibu. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm not factional, I'm the candidate.
All right, we'll see to that.
I know that as a politician, and a seasoned one for that matter, you must be monitoring what's going on in all the parties.
Yes.
As a former APC member, what happened during the primaries of the APC? Did it come to you as a surprise, or it was something that you expected?
You mean that of APC or PDP?
APC. Let's start with APC now.
The former party.
No. I think for the part of APC, they are displayed that they have a central leadership, a leader that can call everybody to order. And the leader was able to call everybody to order and declare the result inconclusive, as against allowing the players to go to court, just like we are already doing our own end. So when you have a central figure, it's easy to manage affairs. So what APC is doing is not surprising to me because they have a central figure.
Now, what steps are you taking now to validate yourself as the candidate of the party? Because you're up against a very strong opposition. Your governor doesn't want to see your face. He doesn't want to shake your hands. Now, his candidate has emerged. What are you going to do to ensure that the party eventually picks you ahead of the choice of the governor's camp?
The party, if the party wants to win election in those states, as it is today, it must listen to the voice of the people, and it must follow its own rules. And the rules of the party is clear. And even when the courts and when the law says the party is supreme and the party decide who his candidate is, it's not as easy as that. The party decide who his candidate is by following the rules, its own rules. So far, it's not in conflict with the electoral law. So the party still does not have absolute control over who becomes the candidate if they don't follow their rules. And what I'm only saying that the party follow its rules. And if the party follow its rules, I am the candidate. But if the party does not follow its rules, I won't be surprised that PDP will not have a candidate. But if they follow their rules, PDP will have a candidate. And that candidate will be Philip Shaibu. Because I'm playing by the rules. The group of persons that are the most important person in the primaries of governorship or any primaries that has to do with indirect are the delegates. And the delegates also have its own rules on how they emerge. And if these delegates emerge, nobody can change them and nobody can vote on their behalf. They have to vote by themselves. And that is why I'm confident, because the delegates that voted me, 381 of the delegates that participated in our primaries, of which 301 voted for me, are the authentic delegates. So what happened on the other side, if you check it, it's more like a party. You can see the level of Ashwebi, all the 18 local governments where Ashwebi to primaries. So that would tell you it was just a celebration. It was a birthday party or something that they did there. Not primaries. Primaries are not conducted that way. primaries that have 10 aspirants, you must see contestation. You must see serious contestation. And nobody will have time to show persuade in the primaries that you have 10 aspirants. And you can see that celebration, that party that took place there. And to the primaries that we had, you will see the organic support that I got from my own end. And you see the cosmetic primaries that took place on the other end. So, as far as I'm concerned, the party had to do the right thing. The party must follow its rules. If they do follow its rules, I'm confident. I don't need to go to court if the party adopts its rules. But if they don't, the court will interpret.
So, Your Excellency, some analysts argued that you should have appealed at the party level or seek legal means rather than a parallel primary. So I'm asking, why didn't your faction of the party take that option?
Yeah, when the ad hoc delegate election took place, we approached the appeal panel, and the appeal panel agreed with us that there was problem with the primaries, and they recommended, in their own wisdom, that the party and the leadership of the party should seek for political solution, which they never did. They went ahead to have the local government Congress. We went again to the same appeal of the local government Congress. The appeal agreed with us again that something was wrong and advised the party again. The party never listened until the delegate themselves and we had to go to court to tell them that the delegate list that the party is about to produce, because we have our informant, that it's Governor Obaseki's delegate list that did not emerge at the primaries. And the court asked that the 381 that were missing in the list that they produced should be the delegate and be pasted on the wall of the National Secretariat, which was done. And they refused to allow those people to participate. They disenfranchised them, they refused to accredit them on the day of the primaries. And that was the day set aside for the primaries. And these delegates said they are not going anywhere, they must vote. And that was what led to the parallel primaries. So primaries is determined by the delegates, who are the people. So where the authentic delegates, where the primary that the authentic delegate known by law, where that is where the primaries really took place, not I don't know whether it's birthday party or whatever party that they did at the long tennis court.
Yeah, from what people say about you, especially people who know you from your student days, that you are a very determined fighter who always fight to the end when you believe in a particular cause. The tradition of nouns. Yes. But as things are now,
no surrender.
Yeah, as things are now, there is an uphill task ahead of you. Is there the prospect of you being open to dialogue if these obstacles are not taken away from your pathway? Are you open to dialogue with other political parties, especially your former home, where you came from before you joined the PDP? Is there the process of a dialogue? And then the other one, the issue of the governorship election going to Edo Central. Don't you think it's the big issue in the coming election? And how do you see it?
Yeah, you see, it's just a leadership problem. If leaders come together to say, look, based on XYZ, let us agree and zone positions. And you must get the buy-in of your followers. And you must even bring the topic. You must even bring the discussion. You must discuss. But when you have leadership that will not discuss, instead, intimidate and harass by relocating your office from its constitutional place to a non-constitutional place, by stopping your subvention for the past 8 months just because you want to contest the election, by relocating you out of government chapel, and arresting catechists of our church, and throwing away altars and sacramentals in the name of politics, not because somebody said it's contested election, then you cannot get the buy-in of such people into your own project. But when, it's just like the question you asked me, you see, there was a primaries of APC, and the president or the leader, with what I read on there, the president called everybody and said, look, based on X, Y, Z I've seen, go back and do your primaries. When you don't have people like that can call everybody and say, this is the direction, this is what I want to, instead intimidate and harass you and sack, suspend, transfer. You don't, this is democracy. This is not military era. And some of us that fought against the military for this democracy will not accept that in a democracy setting. Not even with the threat of an impeachment. I will not. But when you are civil, in line with the tenets of democracy, when you discuss, when you bring issues, when ideas cross-multiply, superior will have his way. Somebody like me will bow to superior argument. Because I'm from a background where we argue, we debate, we bring ideas together. The superior ones, when they have their way, even if I am in the minority view, I succumb to superiority argument, I follow. That is the background I'm coming from. I'm not from a background that intimidates and harass. And that is why I was nominated to be the coordinator during the military of mass movement. Mass movement, I was the coordinator in North Central because my university was the University of Jos. Not a mass movement is movements against second slavery. I coordinated that in North Central during the Abacha must go era. So if I hate oppression and I get agitated and I get carbohydrate when somebody intimidates others, not even intimidating me, you can get me to agree to you by talking to me, by making me see reasons, through conversation, through argument, through superior ideas. And when I see that you have superior ideas, I bow to superior ideas. But I don't bow to intimidation or harassment. And what we have in Edo today is intimidation and harassment. They go after your business, they sack you, they transfer you. You don't do that in democracy.
All right.
And that is not the democracy that I fought for. And that is the problem of the PDP in Edo State right now.
All right, Your Excellency, I mean, you've thanked the party and you've called for unity. But in proper perspective, how can this be achieved before the election in September?
It can be achieved if the government stop intimidating and harassing people. As I speak to you now, they are planning impeachment. So how does that solve the problem? Assuming they even succeed in impeaching Comrade Philip Shago, does it stop me from, if it makes me more popular and stronger, and I'm waiting for them to do it, I'm ready, because it will make me more popular and stronger. And I'm going to take advantage of it to support whoever if I don't get the PDP ticket. So you don't harass, you coerce, you lobby. Politics, democracy is about lobby and canvassing. You don't intimidate, harass. Because I've emerged as a candidate of the party in a parallel thing, you're already saying we're impeaching. You don't do that. It's democracy. I have the right to my ambition. I have the right to whoever I want to do. So you don't do that. And the problem we have, that is just the problem. For me, I am not desperate, but I am fighting for my rights and the rights of our people. And that is why people that know me from my background knows that I hate oppression. And that is why, like I told you, I was in a movement that fought against oppression and intimidation. And we wanted democracy because we don't want harassment. We don't want people to intimidate us. We want to be part of a system where we will say, this is what we want, and the system must do it. And if you don't do it, we use our voters card to take you out.
All right.
That's the kind of system we want. So, yeah.
Right. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining us.
So for me,
right.
I am a peaceful person.
All right. We've been speaking with the Deputy Governor of Edo State and factional PDP candidate, Philip Shuaibu. He says it's not a factional. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I mean, you heard him saying he will support whoever he wants to support if he doesn't get the tickets.
I think he said something very important. That's a very important take home, that the APC has a strong leadership, that can intervene,
that has been there,
in local dispute, which I think puts the APC in a greater advantage, unlike the PDP, where the Senate seems not to be holding. The former two presidents, President Obasanjo, President Jonathan, you can't really pin them to any.
Obasanjo said it does not belong to.
I mean,
PDP.
So I think that's one thing on puts the APC, in spite of all its internal dispute, at a greater advantage.
Right.
Compared with.
Thank you. The final take before we go out of time.
The governorship contest in Edo State is it looks potentially tantalizing. So I just can't wait. I want to see what pans out, in the final analysis.
And I'm sure there'll be more drama in the coming days.
Yeah. Yes.
Especially Labour Party.
It makes no sense to impeach the deputy governor. You people have just a few months to go. Governor Baseki needs to be spoken to.
Yeah.
He's just conducting himself like a sergeant major.
All right, gentlemen, let's go home. Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adewale Adeye. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
It's been an interesting conversation today. And thank you to everyone who called in. Thank you. That's all on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of the program at 5 p.m. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11:30. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Lagos is the most visited state in Africa as the fifth largest economy on the continent. Covering the state and its government is no mean feat, it's a busy beat. We go beyond the curtain of tapes to travel in far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos state government for the healthcare facility.
To bring stories that cut across all spectrums.
A greater Lagos shall be ours.
We tell you stories that define our collective well-being as Lagosians. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Get ready to dive into the world of the Nigerian Navy as Nigerian Navy in Focus, a captivating TV program, takes you deep into the heart of the activities of the nation's maritime centennial. Join us as we navigate the waters alongside the brave men and women of the Nigerian Navy who have dedicated their lives to this noble cause. Their hopes, dreams, sacrifices, and triumphs. Experience their courage, their resilience, and their unwavering commitment to serving the nation and protecting her waters and relentless pursuit of safeguarding our maritime borders. Let Nigerian Navy in Focus transport you to the seas, where bravery meets honor and the depths hold countless untold stories. Don't miss out on this unmissable TV experience. It is the Nigerian Navy in Focus, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. on Television Continental TVC.
The Shared Prosperity Weekly TV series on TVC News. It is through this telecast the viewers get to know what is happening in the prosperity government of His Excellency Senator Hope Uzodinma, the Executive Governor of Imo State. Through this program, all questions agitating the minds of citizens and residents of Imo State are answered in details with documentary evidence. Don't miss it. Keep a date with us every Sunday on TVC News by 9 p.m.
Akwa Ibom is my fatherland. God bless Akwa.
We will invite all Akwa Ibomites to arise to the faith of greatness with our Rise agenda.
The sun is rising, the land is peaceful. It's so amazing that I can see. I want you to know, yeah. Oh, say, I am the future, yeah.
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News. First with breaking news. At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News. First with breaking news.
Meet 82-year-old Mrs. Ajoke Mohammed, now called Mama, wife of former head of state, General Muritala Mohammed. The unceremonious death of her husband in 1976 marked a new chapter in the life of Mrs. Ajoke Mohammed. At 33, the reality of her new status as a widow dawned on her. Besides, her businesses could not thrive because of government's ban on importation at that time. Mama is a trained dental therapist. She tells me that